Hello? All right, there we go. First show, already have my first issue, so. All right, there we go. So, Derek, if you're still with us, this is going to be a weekly live stream show I'm going to do. We've got a art cam right here on my hood. So you guys will actually, I'll see if I can get the camera to work. So I'll be able to live stream my art shots for you guys. Kind of show you a little bit finer detail on hand position, what the art's actually doing, how the settings work, and how I use them per part, per weld. So this is a Holley EFI aluminum intake manifold for a local customer. It's split back here on this back seam. So I'm going to buff it down, dress it up with a flat disc, hit it with a Scotch-Brite wheel. Going to drill the crack out, try to flex this thing back into position, weld it back up, and hopefully he can make use of it sometime soon. So now that we got quite a few people in here, so that's awesome. Let me get my safety glasses on. I don't want the safety Gestapo to come after me again. All right, I'll come out to the camera. Like I was saying earlier, we don't have a camera over my shoulder yet. I'm going to look at getting one of those probably the next week or so. Give you guys a little bit better close-up of what's happening on the table. So for tonight, like I said, we're still getting things together. We just tested this show for the first time Saturday night, so still working out some bugs. I'll bring the intake out to you guys, see if you guys can see what's going on real quick. So you see we got a pretty decent crack right here. So I'm going to do is dress this down, get all the powder coat off of it, drill out the ends of the crack. I'm going to take a big clamp, try to clamp it back together, see if we can get this thing to fit up and weld up real nice for this guy. And by the way, guys, I can see your comments here. I've got a laptop off to the side. I can see all the comments on the live stream. If you guys have any questions, I'll stop periodically, read the comments, see what you guys have. I've got some scrap. I can kind of show you some hand positions or some of the tools I use. So feel free to ask a question. I'm not fully set up with all the material I'd like to have right now. So I'm not as flexible as I'd like to be as far as showing you guys some finer things. I don't have much stainless. I really don't have any stainless right now. So kind of limited to aluminum for tonight. This next week, I'm going to try to get the camera, some different materials so we can start really showing you guys anything and everything you want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and get started buffing this down. Hopefully the grinder doesn't kill your ears. So if you guys are just joining us, this is going to be the first episode of what is going to be a weekly live stream. We're going to do it every Monday night. I'm 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm located in Kansas City, Missouri. So 7 o'clock seemed to be a pretty good choice for the East Coast and the West Coast. It's not too late for the East Coast guys, not in the middle of the day for the West Coast guys. So hopefully we can get a good crowd and we can make this pretty fun. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about my setup, what I'm using, feel free to make a comment. I'll try to look over periodically and get back to you guys on them. Sun is rising now. Actually, you can kind of see this crack right here. The back of the intake actually cracked out. The guy said he hit about 20, 21 pounds of boost and heard a pop, and it just cracked the backside of this intake out. It's actually pretty thin. So this is a Holley sniper, and it looks to be about 0.90 or so. All right, so now that I got this thing, got all the powder coat off of it where I need to, got it buffed down and smoothed out with some Scotch-Brite, I'm going to go ahead and hit the ends of that crack with a drill and terminate those cracks. All right, there we go. That was nice and easy. Going to have to look for a place to ground this. I think that'll work. All righty. As far as abrasives, honestly, this is just a cheap Harbor Freight flap disc. They're cheap. They work well enough, especially on aluminum. They clog up so fast. I don't feel like spending $10 on a good flap wheel just to grind aluminum and have it last 30, 40 seconds. So for aluminum, I just buy the cheap ones, and then I'll buy like these 3M like Scotch-Brite pads that'll go on a 4.5-inch grinder. Now, before you guys go all Gestapo safety on me, You do have to remove the guard to get these on, but it is what it is. Wear your safety glasses or face shield. All right. We're going to give this a spray down with some carbon choke cleaner. Yeah, Robert, I do agree. A weld is stronger with a gap. This thing is actually gapped out a little over an 1/8 inch, and it's 090 material, so it's a pretty big gap. So I'd like to bring it in a little bit. I'm not going to close it up all the way tight, but I'm probably going to cut that in half, maybe a 60 thou gap or a little bit less. This is just a B12 carbon choke cleaner. It's non-chlorinated. It's not going to kill you. The carbon choke cleaner is nice too because it doesn't leave a residue and it dries real fast. So it's not hanging around for a long time. You see, that's exactly why we wipe it down. Brad, I'm getting there. Give me about another 2 minutes and we'll start welding. I got to find my clamp. I was in such a rush, I forgot to look for my clamp before we went live. Give me 1 second. Of course, I would do this on my first episode. Get some of this off. You know what? Actually, this will be a good time to show you guys a little trick that I like to use. We're actually going to tack it and just give it a little smack and get that thing to suck in around the tack. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it, but like right here on my hood, I've got a little dot, and that's the center of focal point for the camera. So I'm trying to, while I'm welding, I'm trying to line up that dot with a particular part of the torch. So if I get a little out of frame or my hand's in the way, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to learn this. Like I said, this is the really the third run we've had of this. So still learning. Hopefully it'll get better as the weeks come. All right, let's do a little test here first. All right, so if you guys could tell me if that was within frame, I'd really appreciate it. Like I said, I can't watch my stream and see what's going on welding at the same time. All righty. All right, let's see if we can get this done. Yep, I'm going back to the torch cam. There you go. Sorry, guys. There's a lot going on. All righty. Sun is rising. Hey, for everybody just joining us, I know we've got quite a few people in here now that weren't here as we started. This is actually going to be a weekly live stream show. So I've got a torch, or not a torch mount, but a helmet mounted arc camera. So I can give you guys live stream arc shots. Did the camera freeze? Yep. Sorry, guys. Camera froze. This is one of the issues we're still trying to work out. This is a pretty brand new system. So let me reset the camera. See if we can get something going again. All right. I'm going to make one or two more tacks. Let's switch over to the arc cam. Go picture in picture so you guys can still see me. See if we can get this to work. All righty. All right, camera's still on. Let's button my shirt up. Rock this thing over to the side a little bit so I can get a better angle. Let's see how bad we can mess this up. Hopefully I can stick my tungsten or something for you guys and give you a real show. So I'm running an Everlast 325 EXT right now. I've got it set up on advanced square wave. We're running 140 amps. Like I said, I think this material is about 090, so I won't use quite all of that. I'm running 121 hertz and 35% balance. I'm also running a 20 series with a CK gas lens and an Edge Welding Cups quartz number 6 gas lens tonight, running 2% lanthanated tungsten, 1/8 inch in size. I'm not for sure on what the intake material is, James. I'm going to take a wild guess, and being that it's Holley, it's probably going to be 3003 or 5052. It doesn't really matter. I'm using a 332nd 55-54 rod. And actually, my good buddy Mark Winchester turned me on to this a couple weeks ago, and I've pretty much completely switched from using 40-43. I absolutely love this stuff. If you guys haven't heard of it, do a quick Google search after we're done tonight, and I think you'll be interested in trying a couple pounds of it. Yeah, Derek, we can let me get this welded up, and we'll run some beads on here, and I'll kind of show you with the arc cam what you're looking for. We'll turn the machine way up and start blowing it out. You can kind of see right at the moment as it kind of starts to blow through. So I'll weld this up real quick, and then we'll kind of switch over to taking some questions or showing some demos, showing different machine settings, almost anything you guys want to see. So let me switch over to the arc cam, go picture in picture for you guys, see how bad we can mess this up. Like I said, if I get outside of the frame, I'm sorry. I've got a very narrow window to stay within, so I'm trying. So you're still pulling some junk up. Get a nice keyhole there. I think the inside of this intake is powder coated as well, so I mean, there's no real getting around pulling crap out of it. If it looks too bad, I'll probably end up taking this weld back down and running over it again. Probably not tonight on camera, just for the sake of time. This is where it gets hard to stay in frame. Sorry, guys. Alrighty, well, it actually worked out not too bad. We got it's a little dirty. Let me see. I'll drop the hood cam off real quick, and I'll run out and show you guys. Like I said, I'm working on getting a camera to sit over my shoulder so I can switch that and show you guys it up close to the table. Oh. But there we go. Not too bad. It's a little dirty. Like I said, I'll probably take it down later tonight after I go off air. Kind of clean it up, make it look better for the guy. But nice, simple little repair. Another 15, 20 minutes and it'll be done. All right, so now we got that out of the way. Let's see, Derek, was it? Does aluminum give any warning on when it's going to blow away? Just started on aluminum TIG and it's giving him some trouble. So let me grab another couple pieces of strap. We can do some flat butt welds. Be right back. All right, so here's some more extra strap. Go ahead and wipe this down real quick. We'll tack it up and we'll kind of go through what aluminum looks like as it starts to blow out. Now this is 090 5052. Generally speaking, I run 1 amp per 100 thou. So really about 100 amps should be more than enough for this material. I've got the machine set up right now still at 140 amps. So we should have plenty of amperage to go ahead and melt this down. So let me get it tacked up and we will get on the ARC camera. Go ahead and switch over for you guys. All right, so Martin, I should be getting an MTS 225 or 275 here the next couple days. I manage, or I should say I moderate or admin the Everlast Facebook page, and I get a lot of guys asking me questions about setup and menus on the MTS Lightning series. I don't have one here at the shop, so it's kind of hard for me to, tell guys to flip through this menu, change this. So I'm actually going to get one here in the shop. I think it's going to be my primary machine for the show until we have something different come out. We've got some new EXTs coming out here pretty soon. So I'll be running an MTS on the show probably next week. So anyway, I'll be able to go through the menus. I'll probably do more of like an unboxing type video for the show next week with that machine. Just kind of running through, pulling it out, setting it up, and just some basic settings for steel and aluminum. So come back next week, and I'll probably have what you're looking for. All right, so we got this 090 tacked up. My buddy Derek Vale was asking what to look for on aluminum before it blows out. So I'm going to go a little high on amperage on this first run and see if we can get what he's looking for. So, Derek, this is for you.
Once again, guys, I'm going to try to stay in frame. It's pretty complicated to line this camera up, but I'm going to try my best. So here we go, lighten up. Probably running about 100 amps right here, 110 amps. You can see with this gap, it's already pretty hot. So what we're going to do, you can kind of see that center falls out, Derek. We start keyholing real bad. So I back off the pedal. You just want a little keyhole. We ramp back up probably about 130 amps now. Hopefully you can see the puddle is really starting to sink in. We'll back off again. We're probably about 100 amps here.
Oh, sorry, camera froze up. This is one of the issues we're still trying to work out, guys. Let me see. Let's try this again. Sorry.
All right, here we go. Arc cam is back on. I'm just stopping to make sure we're good. All right, there we go. If I get a little bit too close, sometimes it'll shut the camera off with the high frequency. So let's scoot down a little bit to where we have a decent gap again. So here we go. So you can see this weld isn't really sinking down, Derek. We start going 140 amps. You can kind of see that arc start sinking that pedal down. So we back off. We're probably about 90 amps here. We'll go way too cold. See how it's just sitting on top. And then here we go, we ramp up. You can see the center of the weld start to fall out. So we ramp it back down.
Let's see if we can. All right, as you can see where that really started falling out right there. Let's get back under the arc cam, and I'll see if we can get a little bit better shot of that puddle really starting to flatten out and the center of it starting to drop down. So I'll kind of start this out
About how I'd run it, and then we'll go way too hot and see if we can see a nice change. So this is how I like to see it. A little keyhole opens up, dip, little keyhole opens up. So now we're going to ramp up. You see it's not falling out, but the center of that puddle is really sinking in.
So that's one thing, Derek, to look for. Like if you're running, especially like a flat weld or something, if you practice on some flat butt welds like this, especially with a gap, that's where you can really start to see that puddle is starting to sink in the center. You want a little bit of that, but as it starts getting more extreme, that's when you're getting really close to gravity taking over, that whole thing just falling out on you. Let's switch over and do some fillet welds real quick, and we'll see if we can see the same thing. I'm actually going to go up in amperage now. Fillet welds for me usually take about an extra 20, 30 amps. So I'm going to go to 171. Not a problem, Dave. That's what we're here for, man. I'm glad we can at least try to help a little bit. So if you guys are just joining us, this is something we're going to try to do every week about 7 o'clock Central Time. As the weeks go on, I'm going to have more material a little bit better camera setup for close-up shots on the table. But basically, we're going to spend the first probably 10, 15 minutes going through some type of a skill or a little project I'm working on, just to kind of show you guys what I do and some little tips and tricks that I might not think to explain otherwise. And then pretty much open it up for like a Q&A. Like if you guys want to see something, you want to know something, just ask, and I'll do my best to accommodate everybody. So definitely feel free to ask a question. I mean, that's the whole point of the show. I've got enough machines off to the side that I can pretty much switch processes and show you just about anything you want. I'm going to get some 1/4-inch aluminum in here pretty soon, so we can go over like a single and dual pulse MIG application. I'll do aluminum stick if you want, just for giggles. Watch me really mess something up real bad. So let's try these fillet welds, see if we can get Derek sorted out a little bit better on some different things. So here we go.
So again, this is kind of how I'd like to run it. You kind of see that keyhole. So now we're going to wait. And being that this is flat on the table, we might not have enough amperage still to really blow it out. The table might be kind of holding it together for us. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think being flat on the table, we're not going to have enough at 171. So let's prop this up. I'll crank the machine up even more and see if we can make a mess. So we're now at 211 amps
on some 090 sheet, doing a T-joint. So there we go. It happened so quick. Make sure the arc cam's still working. There we go. See if we can do this again. Go back and look where this blew out. Let's skip ahead. So we can see it keyholing right there. Keyhole dip. Now we're going to ramp up an amperage. And you can see it started to lift that hole up.
That's where we know we're getting into a danger zone where it's going to blow out. So watching that keyhole tell you pretty closely, where you're at. After a while, Derek, you actually get kind of like a sixth sense, and you'll just start to feel when you're getting close. That's about the best way I can describe it. You just kind of know after running aluminum, especially for as long as I have, you'll just kind of get a sixth sense to it, to where you kind of know what's going to happen 4 or 5 seconds down the weld. I know it doesn't help you out much. It's just one of those things that's it's a lot of time. But you start to be able to read the puddle, so you can see when that puddle is starting to lay out and get too flat, that you're getting pretty hot, and that's where you either start backing off the pedal or you start jamming more filler rod in and moving faster along the way. So it's unfortunately, it is going to be one of those things. It's a lot of time under the hood. There's a couple key things to look for, but generally speaking, just getting some time on the material is what's really going to help you with that, so you can kind of read that puddle. All right, let's see if there's anything. Let me go back through the comments and see if there's something I missed real quick. Making sure my arc cam was still on. Yeah, James, that was the same filler rod, that I was running this weekend, the 5554. All right, how do I clean my aluminum? So this is pretty fresh sheet. Generally, you can see, like, this has been kept inside. It's pretty much covered up, so it doesn't get real dusty. It's not outside getting oxide layers on it. But even then, I'll always take like this carbon choke cleaner, or I've got a little bin for acetone that I'll dip like bungs and stuff like that in, just to get the cutting fluid off of them. But generally speaking, if it's pretty fresh material, all I'm going to do is just take and wipe it down, get the fingerprints off of it. I don't know if you guys could really see the fingerprints. I think we've got some right here. So just trying to get the oils off of it. And generally, when I'm getting ready to weld something that matters, I'm going to be wearing my gloves, wipe it down, and then I'm not touching the material with my bare hands again, especially down in the weld joint. I'm not going to be grabbing the material like this and putting fingerprints all over it. Right now, my hands are dry from spraying them down with carbon choke, so they're not leaving any oil, but that's pretty critical. Especially, like, I work in the aerospace industry. That's one of our like procedures for cleaning is rubber gloves, wipe the material down, and then you never touch it with your bare hands again. And that's just to keep oils out of the welding surface. If it's something a little bit dirtier, like we were welding up this intake, a lot of guys say not to use a flap disc, but for me, nothing works better than a flap disc than, for taking off powder coat. So I'll usually rough something up with a flap disc and then come back with Scotch-Brite, kind of buff all the high points down. We're talking like 120 grit Scotch-Brite and like a 60, 80 grit flap disc. So that's enough that it'll take everything down pretty quickly. So you're not trying to sit there with like a wire brush trying to scrub powder coat off. And then the Scotch-Brite will kind of polish it out, make it smooth so you don't have any like ridges and high points from the flap disc. And after that, it's just a wipe down with acetone, and I'm ready to weld. So if there's anything else you guys want to see, we can run through some machine settings, kind of showing you guys what different settings do on fillet welds. We can kind of play around and try to run a bead on top of this 090. If there's anything you guys want to see, let me know. We'll hang out here for another 10, 15 minutes. See what you guys come up with. This is a little bit of an off week for me. Normally, I've got some subcontract parts to work on. So even probably next week, I'll have some parts to build so we can do like a full build for 20, 30 minutes. Kind of show you guys how I position stuff. So this is kind of an off week this week for whatever reason. So any pulse weld. I don't really use pulse on aluminum. We can set up like a advanced AC pulse if you want to. I've got some thicker material in the back of the shop I can grab real quick, and we can set up like an advanced AC, pulse if you'd like. Mountains Garage settings. So I am running an Everlast 325 EXT. I pretty much only run advanced square wave just because it is the highest heat input waveform, and I find it to be the most stable. And then typically I'll run 1 amp per 100 thou, kind of that general rule of thumb. I'll usually go up like 10, 15%. So like 090 material, 1 amp per 100 thou would tell you 90 amps. I'll usually go like 100 or 110 amps on 090. 1/8 inch should be 125 amps. I'll usually go 135, 140. For balance, I typically stick between 30 and 35% balance on an Everlast machine. If you were running something else like a Lincoln or a Miller, that would be 65 to 70% balance. And then frequency. So I've got 3 main programs that I run. They're all at 35% balance. They're all advanced square wave. But I've got 150 hertz, 120 hertz, and then 100 hertz. And that's basically for how tight I want the arc on certain parts. So if I'm welding up an intercooler plenum that's 090 and I'm doing an outside corner, I'll run 150 hertz. As I go to like an inlet ring, it's a little bit thicker and I want a little bit fatter bead, but I still want a nice tight, puddle that freezes quickly, then I'll run 120 hertz. And as I move to welding the plenum to the core, that's when I'll run 100 hertz. So I want a real fat, wide bead. I want it to flow in real nice. And mainly, I just want the width for the strength. I want to try to get as wide as a bead as possible to get as much weld material in that joint. Derek, I actually do have a 253 DPI, and that's something with the computer right here, it'd be a little sketchy. But I tell you what, I will open with that next week. So next week I'll open up with busting out my 253 DPI. We'll run it on some 090 and some 1/8 inch T-joints like this. Just kind of go through some real basic settings on like a single pulse MIG. If you'd want to see that, Derek, that'd be great. Does Everlast do military or veterans discounts? I believe, I'm not going to say this with 100% certainty, so don't crucify me for it, but I believe I have heard us offer a discount for military and veterans. That'd be something, if you want to send me a message on Facebook, I'll contact the owner and we can see what we can work out for you. And then any tips on welding small fittings like 6061 bungs to 3003 pipe to a 5056 aluminum boat fuel tank? Ooh, 6061's fun. So generally, you'll see a lot of people have cracking issues with that, and 6061 typically has a lot of porosity in it. That was one issue I actually ran into when I was trying to get my D17 cert on 6061, was trying to get rid of the porosity. And a lot of I've seen a lot of like AWS, aficionados call the D17.1 6061 test 7 inches of good luck. And I would agree with that. So I have some 6061 bungs that I could weld up. That might be a good project. That might be a good project to go over. 6061 also, if you're welding it to like 5052 or 3003, if you don't put enough filler into your tacks, it has a tendency to crack out pretty badly. It'll also pull real hard. That's one thing when I do like intercooler builds and I'm welding bungs to a plenum. That's one thing you've got to really watch out for, is that those tacks will crack. So that's something we can go over too. Three toes running, honestly, there's a lot of times when I feel like that too, that I honestly don't know what I'm doing. That still happens quite a bit. And Martin, yeah, these shows are all going to be saved to the Everlast YouTube channel. So if you miss a week, it'll always be on the channel. You can go back. It'll be like a podcast style then, where you can skip through. If I'm being boring, you can skip it. Try to find something more interesting to watch than me standing here talking. So the gaming ham, any tips for a new hobbyist welder? Yeah, there's a lot. The main thing is just asking questions, man. If you see somebody that is doing some work that you're interested in, hit them up. Ask them how they do a certain thing. Especially, it's a little bit easier if you have like a specific thing you're having an issue with, whether it's a hand position or feed and filler rod. But I'm on Facebook. You can find me on the Everlast Facebook group. I'm also on Instagram at mccollum.weldfab. If you just search Jesse McCollum. That's MCCOLLUM. You'll find my account. Feel free to send me a message on there, guys, if you're having an issue. One of the things we can do too with this this art cam, I can actually start a private like live feed. I can invite someone to it if they're having an issue, and I can do like one-on-one help with you guys. So that's exactly what we're doing this for. We're just trying to see how far we can push this technology and how much we can help people. So always feel free to hit me up. I tell people that all the time when they're asking me questions. I don't feel like you're bothering me. I literally have an open door policy with answering questions. If I'm too busy or I'm asleep, I'll get you as soon as I wake up or free up. So please never feel like you're bothering me if you send me a message. So Paul McDonald, best aluminum rod to use on car parts, intercoolers, intake, etc. So this is one of those questions where you can ask 10 different people and you'll get 15 different answers. So typically the guideline I use is 5356 has a heat limit of 150 degrees. And at that point, if its service life is above 150 degrees, so you would see like an intake manifold possibly, an intercooler will see temps above 150, definitely like a radiator will see above 150, coolant tanks, stuff like that. Above 150 degrees service life, 5356 has a tendency to crack. It'll tendency to stress crack. So that's why 4043 is recommended if something's going to be in a hot environment. With that said, if a part is going to be anodized, 4043 will turn kind of a grayish brown color. It won't match the color you're trying to anodize to. So that's where it's kind of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other. 5356 is a little bit stronger under, say, like room temp conditions. Like I said, it does have a service temp limit of 150. One rod I have been using the last couple weeks